I know a secret. I know a fishing spot where there are some huge white bass swimming around and tons of them. And the best part about it is very few people have any idea that they're there. This week's show, we're going to reveal that mystery. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Sports South.
So, exactly where is this mystery lake anyway? Well, I'm standing here right now. In fact, just over my shoulder are the boat docks. Just right over here in the parking lot is the row of trucks and boat trailers from all the fishing guides and serious bass anglers in search of huge trophy largemouth bass. This is Lake Fork Marina and Motel right on the shores of famous Lake Fork, Texas. Now everybody knows about the unbelievable big bass fishing that exists here. Most everybody knows about the excellent crappie fishing here, but very few people are aware of the unbelievable white bass fishery that exists right here at Lake Fork. These are big white bass and lots of them. And on today's show, it's the mystery revealed. We show you some of these white bass, where they're located, how you can find them, and how you can go have some fun catching a bunch of them for your very own. So we're going to launch the Nitro Z8 out in Fork, go out and explore some of this white bass fishing. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for your fishing reports for the week from our expert team of insider reporters from your local lakes, rivers, and bays. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and right now, let's get it all started back at the FSN studios with your weekend plan.
The Solunar tables are pointing to mid-afternoons as the best time for fishing over the weekend. Look for game fish activity to begin peaking around 2:31 p.m. on Saturday and 3:22 on Sunday. The sun will rise at 6:19 and set at 8:38. And evenings will be lit by a moon that is only 18% visible. Stay with us, we have all your fishing updates from around the region on the way. Plus, I'll return with Keith Combs to answer this week's Ask the Pro question.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Lew's, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
I can see these fish on my graph right down here on the bottom, jigging a little spoon right in the middle of a bunch of fish, and I got one of them. Oh, that's a good pull right off the bat. That's one of the good ones. Okay, that's just a good start right there. Here we are on Lake Fork, and look at the size of that toad white bass. Now that one is a long, slender one. It's big, it's long and slender. It's not one of the real fat ones. I hope to show you one of the really fat ones, and we'll even slap a scale on it after a while just to show you what they weigh. But that's a good start anyway. We're not keeping them today, but boy, you could keep a mess of those. As long as you cut the red meat strip out, the little iodine strip out of each fillet, they are great eating. Well, let me tell you at the very beginning that these are open water fish. They're out in open water and they're chasing bait fish. So you're gonna find these schools of shad. You've gotta have good electronics like my Lowrance HDS system here. But you gotta be able to see the bait fish, see the shad down there, find where they are, get right up above them, and then vertically fish for these fish straight down below the boat. There are a lot of deep humps on this lake. Now, I'm not talking about little shallow humps, 10, 12, 14 feet. These humps are 25 to 30 feet on top of the hump. That's the shallow part. I'll show you a couple of shots of my chart here of what these humps look like. They're not much. They fall off to maybe 35 to 40 feet around the edges, but they come up to about 30 feet, 28, something like that on top. That's the tight places you're gonna find these white bass. You run your graph over it, find the bait fish, and then you start jigging it, or I'm gonna fish a little Bobby Garland bait on top of them here in a little bit. That gets you started though. Now it's time to get you some fishing reports.
Stormer USA has designed their logo to be a shield, which by definition is something that protects. and that's exactly what their product line is designed to do. No matter where you live or what the climate, they design a product that will protect you and your investment of your time outdoors. So go to stormerusa.com today and check them out. Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. You know, the theme of this week's report would be that the weather has had a very drastic impact on the fishing in the last week throughout the Tennessee and Kentucky region. We had a lot of wet weather come through, as did most of the south and southeast, and it's been followed by, hands down, the warmest weather we've had all year. It's had the fish a little bit in a transition phase, a little bit of a funk, but you know, just if you don't like the weather in Tennessee or Kentucky, hang around because it'll change in a day or two and the fishing's going to do the same, but for the better. Here's the best reports I've got in this region. The Tennessee River right now, catfish is good, crappie is better than average. They're being caught on crankbaits primarily, trolling. Bass fishing is very spotty. Like I said, it's very due to weather. Look for emergent vegetation right now. As always, the offshore bite's going to be there, but the thing on Tennessee River these days is the grass. The grass is really making a comeback. Dale Hollow, Cumberland Lake, and Center Hill, the nighttime bite has started picking up on all of those. Barren River in Kentucky, the bass fishing's really good, and as always, the Cumberland River, the catfishing's really good. So guys, summer's here, it's full blown, the weather's beautiful, and we would love to see you on the water in Tennessee and Kentucky.
There we go. What a fight. What a fight he's bending that rod down. Good one. Good one. Yeah. All right. That's a big old fat white bass. Oh man, welcome back everybody. Lake Fork, Texas today, catching some toads like that. I'm gonna weigh one of these here in a little bit just to give you some perspective. These are all about the same size. And I guarantee you they're all going to be close to around 2 pounds, and a 2-pound white is a legitimate big white bass. There are not very many of those swimming around our region. Back he goes. Hey, let's talk a little bit about tackle. This is the Lew's Speed Stick Custom Rod. It's got a lot of backbone. This is a 7-foot rod right here, 7-foot medium heavy action. That's how big a rod you need to catch these big white bass. The big bait cast reel, that's the Lew's, that's the BB, what have I got here? The BB1 or the BB2? That's the BB1 Pro reel, it's brand new. Got it spooled up with Stren 12-pound test original line. Don't use discount store line if you're gonna come out and catch some of these. One other thing I'm doing, you notice I'm fishing off the back of the boat. That's because I've got my Motor Guide XI5 Wi-Fi trolling motor deployed up front. I've got myself anchored in this position on a GPS waypoint, and it's not gonna move me off of here. It'll just hold me in the wind as long as I wanna fish back here off the back of the boat. Time now for some more fishing and lake reports for you.
Hey folks, it's time for your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine, located in Lake City and Georgetown, South Carolina. We're your bass boat leader since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs, and for family-friendly fun, visit www.marshallmarine.com. Tell you on the saltwater side of things, you folks that like to get out and fish on the surf and on the piers, I don't get to spend a lot of time and give you guys some great reports, but right now I can. The king mackerel are all over the beaches. With the menhaden that are starting to make their move up the beaches, the king mackerel are there. People are starting to report seeing some big fish skying through these schools of bait right now. Get out on the piers, get your anchor set up, get ready with some great live bait to have some good action on some piers. We look forward to seeing some great reports in the next couple weeks coming from some of the piers throughout the Carolinas. Also on the surf right now, the pompano are making their move up the coastline as well. Sand fleas, fish for the 2 hours before and after high tide, work great right now fishing in the surf. Also in the near shore side of things and also on those reefs, the Spanish mackerel continue to be a great go-to species right now. You can get out there and cast spoons, heavier jigs, work great right now. And the fish are starting to be in that 15, 16, 17, even up in the 19, 20 inch range. And also the near shore reefs are starting to find some bigger Spanish mackerel mixed in with those king mackerel that have made their way in. On the freshwater side of things, look for the catfish to start to drop those eggs. We're going to see some great action on catfish up into shallower water. Up on Lake Jocassee, the rainbows and the browns are great right now. Guys are fishing with artificials as well as live bait, fishing 50 to 80 foot of water and having some great luck, especially down around the dam. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
There's one. Oh, good pull. Good one. Good one. Look at that dude. All right. Well, before we go to the next break, we're going to slap this baby on the scale just to give you some frame of reference for what these fish actually weigh, keeping in mind that a legitimate digital scale 2-pound white bass is very rare. And this one weighs 2 pounds and 3 ounces. And again, a 2-pound white bass is really uncommon. And these are just average here. You just catch a whole bunch of these. I want to show you how many of these fish are around. Then I'm going to let that fish go back. I want you to look at the screen on my Lowrance HDS 12. This is the new Gen 3 system that I've got here, the latest, greatest, with the fast processor, the brighter screen, the pinch to zoom screen, everything built in. Look at how many white bass are ganged up right below my boat. You would have a blast coming and doing this. As we go to break, I want to give you the web address and the phone number for Lake Fork Marina and Lodge if you'd like to come book a trip and stay right here and catch some of these white bass. One of these locations I'm catching them is just literally right outside Lake Fork Marina, not 300 yards outside the mouth of the marina, so you don't have to go far. Stay tuned, we're coming back to Lake Fork.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
I got one straight down. Whoa, whoa, good pull. Oh, another good one. All right. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about the technique that you want to use to catch these fish. That's just another average big one right there. They seem like they're all big today. If you're going to do this, these fish have a personality, and every day they may be a little different as to what it takes to make them bite. So what you need to do, I've got 3 techniques to show you. One is a cast. You cast that spoon or that swim bait or that jig out there, you let it go to the bottom, and it's a swimming technique. So once it hits the bottom, you're gonna take your rod tip and swim it up. Pull, 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 swim, and then let it fall back and take up the slack. Real easy. Hit the bottom, pull, 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 swim up like that. That's the swimming technique. Second one is a more aggressive technique. When these fish are a little more active and feeding, it's a hopping, real aggressive. 3 or 4 good big hops, let it fall back to the bottom. 3 or 4 big hops like that, let it fall back to the bottom. And then the third one is when they're really finicky and it's hard to make them bite. It's almost a dead sticking technique. You let it hit the bottom, take up the slack, and gently raise it up and hold it still and let it twist in the wind. You just let that spoon or that jig or whatever, let the current give it a little bit of movement. You don't give it much movement with your rod. Let it hit the bottom, take up the slack, gently lift, hold, and let it twist in the current. And a lot of times that will attract a strike as well. Okay, time for more fishing reports for you from your local area.
This part of the program is brought to you by MirrOlure, the right tools to catch them. From topwater plug to subsurface models to deep running lures like the deadly Heavy Dean. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Well, the cobia fishing has really kicked into high gear along the Georgia coast, especially off Tybee Island up near Savannah. I was talking to Captain Brad Stewart up there, and he says when the fish are on, they're just on fire. He's been catching them up to 65 pounds. That's a huge cobia, using live eels, live menhaden or pogies, and sometimes white bucktail jigs, well, usually with the colorful tailor. He's catching these fish around the channel markers and the buoys. Brad's also catching king mackerel around the 20-mile offshore reefs and wrecks. Those wrecks and reefs have also been producing sea bass, nice limits of sea bass for Brad and some other captains in that area. In southeast Georgia, the fishing has been very good for trout and redfish inshore. You want clear water and you want moderate moving tides. And there's some flounder. These flounder are holding around the tidal runouts there on falling water. They lay at the mouths of these little creek runouts that come in the intercoastal waterway and the larger rivers down in southeast Georgia around St. Simon's Island. In Mississippi, the trout and flounder fishing is on fire. The trout, some of these fish are really big. My son hooked and lost one about 8 pounds right at the boat. Lots of 3 to 5 pound fish being caught around the islands. Some of these anglers are waiting, but you can also catch them from boats. You want falling water. It's got to be moving water, but the falling part of the tide seems to be better. In Alabama, the sea trout fishing also has been very good. Captain Kevin Oldenstead has been doing real well with his charters, fishing the lower Mobile Bay area around some of the reefs, the artificial reefs made by the state. Well, that's it for the coast. Get out on the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
Welcome to the Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Report. This week's action is sponsored by Jimmy Jacobs Outdoor Adventures, your source for guidebooks to trout fishing and hiking in the Southeast. www.jimmyjacobsoutdoors.com. Now, as temperatures across the region are heating up to summertime levels, you need to adopt some different tactics to continue catching fish. In Mississippi, it's time to head over to Eagle Lake for some hybrid bass action. This horseshoe-shaped oxbow off the Mississippi River is just north of Vicksburg. You'll need to use your electronics here to find those big schools of shad, and the hybrid bass are going to be close by. Expect to find most of these fish in the deeper water along the southeastern shore of the lake. Tactic to use is slow trolling with a shad wrap or a rattle trap to catch the hybrids. Blue and silver or black and silver are the colors to use, and you need some medium gear for this because these strong fighters can run from 6 to 8 pounds each. Now in West Georgia, you can still catch some crappie this week on West Point Lake on the Chattahoochee River right where it forms the border with Alabama. You need to target the deeper water beneath bridges. Just tie off to one of the pilings and tight line minnows straight down at varying depths. When you catch one fish, move all those lines to that same depth. Now West Point has 5 good bridges for this, and the fishing is best when current is moving through those bottlenecks. For largemouth bass this week, try East Alabama's Weiss Lake. You want to be fishing early and late and target that holes in the expanding weeds or fish along the edge of those weed beds on the 30,200 acre impoundment. Buzz baits are the lures to be throwing, and you want to run those along those edges and you'll get some explosive strikes from the largemouths.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time now for the Ask the Pro question, your chance for advice from professional anglers. This week, Jamal wants to know, how important are electronics for the average angler? For the answer, we checked with Bassmaster Elite fisherman Keith Combs.
Well, you know, I think electronics are, if you took electronics away from half the guys on the Elite Series, I mean, we would be lost just because we depend on them so much day in and day out. But for, you know, your average guy that doesn't go out and fish every weekend, I still think they're important. I mean, there's so many things that you can break down a lake in a third of the time that I used to be able to 10 years ago when I didn't have great mapping or side imaging or down imaging. So, you know, I recommend even for the beginning angler or the guy who doesn't fish every single day, you know, it doesn't have to be the giant screens that we use, but get you something and start getting acquainted with it. I promise you, over time you're going to learn it and it's going to help you catch more and bigger bass.
Thank you, Keith. If you have a question to ask one of the pros, go to our website, follow the Ask the Pro link, and send us your information. Now let's find out which big fish picture wins someone a brand new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Every week, someone wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses in the Costa Catch of the Week contest. This week's winner is Gary Caudell of Savannah, Georgia. He is shown with a 19-inch flounder he caught out of Ossabaw Sound in Georgia. If you would like to have a chance to enter and win a free pair of Costas, all you have to do is go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, click in the Costa Catch of the Week area on the right side of the front page, fill in the form, be sure to attach your photo in the form of a JPEG. You could be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at the Costa website. Just go back to the front page of our website and click on the Costa logo. You'll see them all there, including the beautiful frame style that I was wearing on this week's episode called Double Haul, and I love the camo pattern. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff feature, it's the right lures to catch some of these deep white bass like we caught here at Lake Fork on today's show. Now, it takes some specialized lures to get way down in 30 and 35 feet of water like we were doing today. Begins on the left side of your screen with two different spoons. The top one is a typical half-ounce jigging spoon, chrome in color, and below that is a big spoon. You saw us catch several of those good whites on this long spoon. It's 5 inches long and it weighs about 1 ounce to 1.25 ounces. On the right side of your screen, the top is a little swim bait. That's a Jean LaRue Sweet Swimmer on a heavy 1 ounce head. And below that is a little bit smaller bait. That's a 1/4 ounce jig head with the Bobby Garland Baby Shad Swimmer. Here's a little something to think about. Character is what you are when no one is looking. Those moments when you're alone with your own thoughts and your own behaviors reveal your true self. And the point at which all of us can have true peace is the point at which what we want to do and the right thing to do are one and the same. And none of this is to lay a guilt trip on anyone, but to help expose those areas in our life that need improvement. And all of us want to be better as life unfolds. Hey, here's a little reminder to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on at our normal time slot Thursday at 6 p.m. and a repeat airing Sunday at 8:30 a.m. And you can always watch the latest episode of our show 24/7 right on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Right below that, click on past episodes and more video here to see all of the archived episodes. Plus, you can see lots of how-to and product videos as well. And be sure to join us on our Facebook page and click the like button for the latest fishing photos, fishing news, and videos. And join us on our Twitter feed and be sure and follow us on Twitter, again, for the latest fishing news. Plus, we give away lots of gear only on Twitter. Well, I hope you enjoyed some of the white bass fishing that we showed you this week from Lake Fork, Texas. You can make a trip here, have a chance to catch the bass of a lifetime. You can also catch some really nice big crappie here. They're here by the thousands. And you can use some of these same techniques at a local lake near you that's got white bass. From Lake Fork in East Texas, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.